Hey guys, my name is Rachel and you're watching The Sailing Siren. For those of you following my journey, I am at the very end of a Zero to Hero program to become an SSI Level 2 freediving instructor. If you watched my last video, I told you a little bit about my experience with the SSI Level 3 course, and now I am in the Master program at Freedive Plus. Today I want to talk to you about something that is scary and a little bit embarrassing, but I wanted to share my experience with my first blackout. Before I do, let me say that I had 8 hours of sleep that day. I had finished my lunch 2 hours before my session. I was feeling super comfortable with attempting a max, and I didn't hyperventilate before my dive. I wanted to share my experience with you today because I wanted to share the importance of knowing what the warning signs are in yourself, as well as the importance of having a competent safety. I've really started to enjoy static breath holds because I've seen a lot of progress. For those who don't know what static dives are, it's when you hold your breath and lay face down in a pool. It kind of looks like you're playing dead. Anyways, one of the requirements to be an SSI Level 2 freediving instructor is to have a static breath hold of over 4 minutes. After reaching this benchmark, I kind of wanted to see how far I can take it and see what I was truly capable of. I'm still pretty new to freediving, so competitions aren't exactly one of my more immediate aspirations. As a new freediver, your urge to breathe kicks in fairly early. When new freedivers come up from the surface, they have oxygen saturations usually over 80%. However, as freedivers progress in their training, they tend to push these limits a little bit more and are much closer to a risk of blackout. So now, a little bit more about this interesting dive of mine. At 1 minute and 47 seconds, I got my first contractions and the urge to breathe kicked in. The first minute of contractions kind of suck, but after that, it tends to get better as I've trained my body to get used to them. My previous personal best was 4 minutes and 18 seconds, and at 4:30, my safety told me my time. From there, he started a 30-second countdown from 4:30 all the way to 5. 4:44 and 4:45 were the last numbers that I remember. After that, I do remember exhaling 2 sets of bubbles and still flashing an OK sign. By the time I had hit that point, I don't think that I was in a mental state to be able to come up. And then somewhere between 4:50 and 5 minutes, I blacked out. When I came to, my mask was off, I was face up in the pool, and my safety was telling me to breathe. Also, when I came to, my arms were stretched out straight in front of me and they were still shaking. I think I was still coming out of my samba. For those who don't know what a samba is also known as a loss of motor control, or LMC. It is when your body doesn't have enough oxygen for your muscles to function correctly and they start wigging out on you. So here are some of the things that I learned from that experience. The contractions start out long and controlled. However, as they progress, they also increase in frequency. Normally, my contractions start in my diaphragm and then work their way up into my chest as the breath hold progresses. At the end of this dive, however, they had moved all the way up into my throat and it felt like I was hiccuping. Here are some of the tips that I'd like to share to prevent something like this from happening to you or a dive buddy. The first thing is to learn the warning signs in yourself and to know what your limits are. It took me less than 15 seconds to go from being completely competent to not being able to make the decision to come up for air. As a safety, it is also super important to know these warning signs so you can bring up a diver if they are experiencing these warning signs and can't make the decision to come up for themselves. After talking with some colleagues who have a little bit more experience with blackouts than I do, I've compiled a list of warning signs for you. Here they are. When you're safetying someone, look for the movement of their contractions. Have they started to move higher up into the body or increase in frequency? Look for trembling or shaking and blue lips, nails, or behind the ears if the diver isn't wearing a hood. Monitor the diver's response to your safety checks. Are they taking longer to respond or not responding like you would expect? Lastly, are they exhaling bubbles? If so, it's time to bring them up. In addition to the warning signs I just listed, here are some warning signs you should look for in yourself as a diver. Look for ringing in the ears, tingling or warm sensations in your body, tunnel vision, and confusion. The second lesson I learned from this is to keep your rescue skills fresh. I'm including a short summary of rescue procedures here, but make sure you receive professional training on blackout rescue and practice them often. Another lesson I learned, progress slowly. From what I've seen in myself and heard from other divers, newer freedivers can go from OK to LMC and blackout within 10 seconds during statics and in less than 5 to 10 meters for dynamic. Keep that in mind when attempting a new personal best. Last but not least, never train alone. Blackouts can happen very quickly and without warning. As someone who likes to learn and progress, I found this experience to be very useful for me. Now I know the warning signs in myself, and I can also coach people on how to safety me better. It's also useful to know so I can try to prevent it from happening again. I'm sure that wasn't very pleasant for my dive buddy. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope that you found it useful. I'd love to hear from those who've had blackouts or have experienced rescuing blackouts. What were the warning signs, and were there any that I missed? Since this experience, I've spent a significant amount of time watching YouTube videos of blackouts and the safety divers' responses to these blackouts. Freediving is a sport that, when done safely, poses reasonable and preventable risks. Stay tuned, because next week I'm going to be posting a video of a breath hold from start to finish so you can see what the warning signs and contractions look like in me. Feel free to share this video with others, as I think this is useful information for the freediving community. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Until then, keep training safely, and I'll see you next week. Bye!